Belief in your alter ego gives you confidence and courage to take risk and achieve greatness. Hello, champions. Welcome to another episode of Champion Reads, where we talk about best-selling books by best-selling authors. And today, we're going to dive into our final episode of the Alter Ego Effect. But before we do that, we have some wonderful people with us. We have our other executive producer, Mr. Ian Sturmer, obviously myself, William Blake, and the founder and chairman of Champion Circle, Mr. John Kovacs Jr. We're going to jump in again to the Alter Ego Effect. I finally got my book down here while we're recording. Alter Ego Effect by, there we go, Todd Herman. Such a great book. So many topics that we talked about. Today, we are going to talk about the 6 mindsets to win that Todd wraps up his book with. So I don't want to, focus on one topic. I want us to jump around from the many topics from the 6 mindsets. So for you listeners and viewers, here are the 6 mindsets. The first one, bring it on. Embrace the challenge. Number 2, I'm ready for anything. To stay flexible and adaptable. Number 3, I'm a creative force. Embrace your imagination and creativity. Number 4, I love to play. Keep a playful attitude. Number 5, I wonder what will happen. Appreciate... Did I say that right? Yeah, appreciate discovery and curiosity. There we go. And number 6, I believe I can change. Know you can reshape your mind. John, Ian, whoever wants to start first, out of those 6 wonderful mindsets to win, which one stands out to you the most?
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to... Go ahead, John.
No, go ahead. I'll throw the ball to you.
Oh, okay. I was going to start out with... I love to play, have fun with things. So just an example with that, a lot of my day job is life insurance. And I've discovered that is not a playful, fun thing to talk about. So today we're going to talk about what happens when you die and how your family is going to be destitute. Ha, ha, ha. It doesn't work. So I found that if you start out playing with it, especially in the hard things, one of the first things I say when I sit down with someone is, throughout this presentation, I'm going to kill you off a few times, just so you know at the beginning. All right? And it sets a better stage for it. And people will come to me and say, you're the kind of person I want to talk to about this. Not we understand that this is a delicate topic to talk about. So as we go through your finances, and no one wants to hear that. Make it light. People listen. They want to enjoy things with you, even in the most boring topics you can imagine, like life insurance. So find a way to make it fun.
I love that we started with play, and I wanted to jump in there too. Surprisingly, it's not my top favorite of the 6 mindsets to win, but it is one of the top, right? And I love the playful attitude because it does change the game. But in similarity to the playful attitude is the number 3, which is I'm a creative force. Embrace your imagination and creativity. I have a personal mantra and a theme that anytime I step foot outside my house and go out into the real world, I tell people, or I tell myself, that I must keep them guessing. And who are them, you ask? Them is whoever's watching. Some people get creeped out and they're like, oh, conspiracies. There's always someone watching. There's surveillance everywhere. And I'm like, yeah, So keep them guessing. Like, they're never going to know that I'm going to walk through this door backwards and do some jumping jacks. They're never going to know that I'm like doing a spin move and deciding to go left and rather than go right. They're never going to know that I'm going to push all the buttons on the elevator going up just for fun, but it's an element of fun and playfulness because I always just want to be creative and keep my brain and moving in a direction where it's like, you know what? Normal people will stand in line and wait to order their burger. A John in this creative force will order a burger, but first compliment every single person behind the counter and then make them smile and then say, hey, good talking to you. Why are we here? Oh yeah, let's order some food. Let's focus on doing things differently, being creative, stretching your brain to do things out of the norm. Yes, you might look silly, but it's absolutely fun. So it does have the elements of play, which is why I think creativity is my favorite one. It really is just an awesome opportunity. So I'll start there and yield my time to everyone else. I'd love to hear what Willie's top mindset or mindset for winning.
Those two go hand in hand with each other, creativity and playful. I remember back when I was a teenager, I was so shy. And maybe I wasn't like shy. It was just I was uncomfortable in outdoor spaces and cared a lot about what other people thought. And because of that, the shy thing came out. And as I went out, I realized that most of the time, most of the places I go to, I'm never going to see the people I see there again. And so really, no matter what I do, I could be just as loud as I want. I could be as flamboyant as I want. I could do whatever I want. And the people who are around me, except my family or whoever's with me, are never going to see me again. And I've used that as an adaptable skill to increase my courage and increase my self-esteem because I can truly be more of myself around strangers than I weirdly can around my family because I've been around them so much that's kind of like this set type thing. But when I'm around other people, it brings this unknown type of mystery of I can mess up as much as I want, but they're not going to notice. Which brings me to, my favorite, which is number 1, bring it on. At my competitive spirit, you say bring it on, and I'm like, bring it, let's go. Whenever I played soccer, or basketball, or volleyball, like inside my head, if we're losing or just like right at the wire, I say bring it on. And there's this flip of the switch, my alter ego effect comes out. There's this switch that happens to where all of a sudden I'm just more focused and dialed in on just the competitiveness of everything that's going on, and all my physical attributes get elevated like a time and a half or 2 times. And it's just such a cool thing. So bring it on is my favorite out of all of them.
I love that. And I think that's the basis of everything is you just have to do it. You have to get involved, allow yourself. I was in an old job. We had a kind of a mixer, and Christmas, they had a competition to see who could decorate themselves the best with some little streamers and that. Time I said, okay, let's put as much as possible all over me. And I just had streamers coming out of my hair and ears and nose and everything. And like you, I thought, these people, I'm never going to see most of them again. But if I do, they're going to remember me as the guy who went all out and did it. Which for a guy who was kind of shy, that allowed me to just step out of that and say, okay, right now, I'm just going to be the guy who does it. And it's amazing how easy that is to step into that alter ego. Just a change of mindset and say, you know what? I'm going to go for it. This is it. I'm going to win this, because if I go all out and come in second, it's going to be embarrassing. So you got to go all in. So.
In lieu of not trying to cover all of the different mindsets, that sparked an inspiration in me about, the curiosity factor, right? Which is part of the I wonder what will happen, number 5, appreciate discovery and curiosity. And I think that if you do have just that idea that you believe that you can change, that you're ready for anything, that you can bring it on, all of that comes to somebody who is open, right? That characteristic of openness and being willing to take on anything. I love that. And I think that curiosity, someone once put in my mind as a young child, and I want to go back and slap them in the face with a white glove and just say, why did you put that in my brain as a kid? As a kid, I was taught that curiosity killed the cat. And I should have been witty enough to say, well, it's a good thing they got 9 lives, because at least they'll learn, right? Because man, oh man, curiosity has never been a killer for me. Curiosity has always led to greater understanding, to greater clarity, to greater awesomeness, to happiness, to joy. It has led me down some uncomfortable paths too. It has led me to paths like I should turn around and reverse what I am doing. But curiosity hasn't always been a negative for me. In fact, curiosity has been like the seedling of yearning to learn in my life. And I find this very, very interesting. And, Willie, as I look at all of these different mindsets to win, these are great affirmations anyone could use to just wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and say, bring it on. I'm ready for anything. I'm a creative force. I love to play. I wonder what will happen, and I believe I can change. Like, those are powerful things you can say to your face in the mirror every day to get yourself to a place where, wow, my level of success, my energy, my frequency of aptitude is really set up for success just by having these particular mindset focuses. It really kind of struck me as we were talking about that.
I love the topics that we're talking about. Let's have a little bit further discussion about kind of a curveball I'm going to throw at you too. We talk a lot about the positive side. We talk a lot about our strengths, but what we don't tend to do as humans is talk about things that we might not do so well. So the curveball I'm throwing is, out of these 6, which one do you least resonate with? And or which one do you feel like you are of lesser strength in? While you two are thinking about that. Oh, John, shoot it. Go ahead.
Yeah, easily. And I can right off the bat say number 2 is I'm ready for anything. That's a great attitude. And I love being a flexible, adaptable person. But let's be honest, I am a human being. I am not flexible nor adaptable. I haven't been able to touch my toes since, well, actually never. And it's because I have a laziness about me that doesn't want to actually stretch after workouts or before. But as far as like being malleable, which is one of my favorite words, I am not ready for everything. And not my attitude really isn't. Like, I can say bring it on because I'm up for the challenge. But as far as like staying flexible and being adaptable, that's probably the biggest struggle I have, is having that attitude, because my mindset is so positive where I don't even see curveballs coming. And that's where it gets me. So if you have an 100% optimistic attitude, your default or your downfall is going to be that you don't see the negative coming. And some people are like, well, if you're just so positive, you'll be able to deflect all negativity. And that's not true, because humanity wasn't designed that way. You're going to get curveballs. I stubbed my toe on the greatest day of my life, and that was unfortunate. I walked into the wrong conversation at a networking event, thinking I was just meeting people and positively building relationships. Nope, that was drama and a bunch of gossiping going on. Like, I get it. Like, I'm not prepared always, and I don't have the mindset to prepare for those. My regular reaction is just to get up and walk away, and we're walking the other direction, which again is what I was taught as a kid, to just like, oh, if you see evil, hear no evil, speak no evils, whatever, walk in the other direction. And I guess that's a good way to stay out of it. But I'm not flexible. I'm not able to be adaptable to those situations. And I feel like that has definitely deterred me from a greater level of success. Because if you walk away from problems, if you walk away from challenges, you never learn how to face them. So that's my number 1.
I love that. I'll jump into unless Ian has his, I'll jump into mine. Mine is, it's funny how we're almost touching on all of these. Mine is number 5. I wonder what will happen, because I love to know what's going to happen. No matter what it is. There is a reason why I love to watch reruns. There's a reasons why I binge watch the same series over and over again. It's because I know what's going to happen at the end. And whenever a new movie comes up, a new show pops out, I have to be very inclined to be able to get there. But not just on the show side, but just in being curious and have that adventurous side in general. I just like to know what's going on, and that unknown is very uncomfortable for me. And I tend to let it go in a procrastination form, to where I'll put it off and off and off until either the deadline hits or the opportunity passes. And the first thing that pops up into my head, it was about 2 years ago. I was dealing with insurance stuff, and I was talking with several agents. And as I was talking with them, I'm just like, I don't know what's going to happen. They're like, oh, you got to call this person and they can set it up really easy peasy. And it was coming towards the end of the year. And I'm like, I just really don't want to call them. And it was that pressure of the deadline that thankfully I was able to call the person and get it set up. But I see it as a pattern in my life, and I hate being so vulnerable. But it's just one thing that I struggle with a lot, and that I'm continuously working on, is I want to know what's going to happen. I want to know what's going to happen in the conversation, what's going to happen in a business deal, what's going to happen when I speak on stage. Like, I want to know what's going to happen. And so that's, yeah, appreciate and curiosity, wondering what's going to happen. Out of those 6, that's the one that I'm struggling with the most. What about you, Ian?
Yeah, and say with all the planning we want to do as entrepreneurs and building everything, it's hard to get that that flexibility and wonder what'll happen, because we want to plan it all out. But I'm actually going to say, okay, I just did my last thing on like how Bring It On is the basis of all of this, and the excitement, the enthusiasm, and that's not me. I am not a cheerleader. I am not a get up there and, I see the motivational speakers, the ones that like to yell a lot, and I turn it off. That's not me. I'm trying to act it out here and be my alter ego because of this book and Willie's recommendation for this book and sound more excited, but I'm not a get super excited about something. I'm going to sit down and try and plan it and work out the details. And I can imagine it going forward, all of that. But takes me a while. I don't say bring it on until I've finished doing it. Then you can bring it on because I've already done it. It's a lot easier that way. But getting that excitement, that Rocky music playing as I step into the boxing ring that's the challenge for me. I'm not ready to embrace all those until I've got all the details worked out.
And that's something I feel that this came up as a thought as I was thinking about the final episode for today, was that this isn't a book that we tend to really go for. It was very uncomfortable for me to, one, suggest the book, but two, as we've had these discussions, they're not things that we're very expert in. Like we've done books on The Richest Man in Babylon, The Magic of Thinking Big, The One Thing. One just popped out of my head, Outwitting the Devil. Like we've done The Go-Giver. That's what I was thinking. We've done so many books to where we can dive deep because we know and we're expert in them and we do it every day. The alter ego effect is just something that we haven't really paid much attention to. And because of it, I think we're having a very different conversation over these last couple episodes, because it's not our expertise. We're all discovering these new thoughts together. At that same time, it's such a beautiful thing and such a powerful thing, because we ourselves right now are getting outside of our comfort zone live on an episode, right? We are recording ourselves with our raw and our real thoughts. And there's something to be said about that.
Yeah, I'll add to that, Willie, because I think it's very, very powerful to recognize that as we're diving into these positive affirmation qualities that are here, one of the things I realize is that there's positive qualities in all of these, but there's also uncomfortable qualities in each of these that we have. And so while some of them are really, really powerful, we tend to say, I am this, but I'm not this, and I want to be this, but I'm not this all the time. And that's funny because, again, it is a concept that's really stretching us. And I have thoroughly enjoyed these conversations because it is putting me in a place where I'm not saying the usual shtick of stuff I usually say. Like, rather, it's causing me to think and to really dive into a more authentic and genuine perspective, which are not words people would generally associate with alter ego. Alter ego sounds masky, fake, different, acting, right? It sounds quite the opposite. But if there's anything I've learned from reading this book and from learning from a lot of our discussions, is that, again, full circle, going back to, is Superman Clark Kent, or is Clark Kent Superman? And bringing this, for me, full circle is all about saying, the qualities that have made me uncomfortable are the ones that I've needed to delve deeper into from the beginning. And that's essentially what this book is trying to teach us. When you finish grade school or you finish college and you're like, okay, so what did I learn in college? I was able to narrow down what I learned in college to one thing, and it was critical thinking. College taught me how to be a critical thinker, how to think, where do I go to get the answers to this research problem? Or where do I go to get help? Where do I go to find X, Y, or Z? How to solve this equation? College taught me how to be a critical thinker. And so for this book, I think it narrows it down for me. Is I believe that this book is teaching me to really embrace the uncomfortable and make it become or absorb it so that it becomes my reality. And the uncomfortable is the process when you are in the ability to live your dream and your Superman, or becoming your Superman per se, because you're just not living in accordance with who you really could be or who you should be. So there's a grind against the sand in this aspect. And that's what it's really come down for me, is living in uncomfortableness so that I can be more comfortable in my own skin. That's what I've discovered.
Man, we have such great discussions as we are finishing up this wonderful book and the topics that we've talked about. Let's share our final thoughts, not just final thoughts on for today, but the final thoughts on the whole principles that we've been talking about. So the one or two things that stood out to you the most, and I'll share mine. The thing that stood out to me the most, and the thing I've most learned, is I need to be proactive in the way to be my own superhero. Just because you have a superpower doesn't mean that you're a superhero. And if I've learned anything watching anime and reading comics and watching Marvel movies and such, I've realized that when it comes to alter egos, or when it comes to superhumans, is that both the heroes and the villains have the same backstories. They come from pain. And it's the choices that they make to where they can either go to the side of the villain, saying, I've had this pain, everyone else should feel the same. Or you jump to the hero side of, I felt this pain, I'm going to do as much as I can so that no one else feels the same. And I think that's one of the greatest lessons that I've learned from this book, is that we need to be proactive in the direction that we're moving in life. Because if we want something, then we have the ability to choose it. Our past is our past. We can learn from it. We can say thank you for what we did back there. But it's all about now, and it's all about what we're going to make in the future. And the future is just a hope. A future is just a dream. We don't know exactly what's going to happen in the future. But when we focus on the present right now and we unleash a few values and focus time, we can accelerate our goals and our finish line to where we're going to get to go. And so that's my final thoughts on this topic. What about you two?
I love that. And when you say final thoughts, I'm going to say something hit me is, especially as John was talking a minute ago. I think the most important thing I learned is often the last thing I learned. And as John said, college, and something popped into my mind that I'd kind of forgotten about until we went through this, and it really fits into alter ego. So right after high school, many, many years ago, I was accepted to a summer art program. And I was a photographer back then, going into photography as a major in college. But I had this one summer program where I went to University of Buffalo, and I was 18 years old. No one knew me. Everyone there was in some type of art. And it allowed me to reinvent myself as the weird, crazy artist that I wanted to pretend I was at the time or be. But because it put me in that situation where I could become any personality I wanted, no one knew me. And after that 6 weeks, no one would see me again. So it offered a huge amount of freedom, which I probably enjoyed more than I should have, but that's discussion for another book. But it allowed me to take on the persona of who I really was, but was too shy and repressed to allow to come out. So I think from that, what are the situations we find ourselves in? And, the alter ego is not necessarily putting on a mask, like we keep saying, is it Superman or Clark Kent? But I think that alter ego is taking off the mask that we wear through the rest of our life and letting us be, getting rid of the alter ego. If I can do the antithesis of what the whole book says, I think that's kind of the point, though. Get rid of your alter ego that you think you have to have, that you've been told you need to have, and allow yourself to be who you want. And whether you have to put on a mask to become yourself or take off a mask to reveal yourself, either way, it's being you, being the you want to be, and not letting limitations and society and all the things John keeps telling you not to say anymore. Ignore all those things, and just allowing yourself to be yourself, because that's what's going to shine. That's what's going to attract people. That's what's going to allow you to be successful in your life, because success is when you're happy. So I'll leave with those words.
Hey, you're not supposed to say that. I'm just kidding. What I want to wrap up with is another big takeaway for me has been implementing this again from the athletics perspective into the real world. And last night I got to play my first sand volleyball game of the year. And it's been almost 7 months since I last played a game, and stepping out onto the court, playing the game, it was like a literal breath of fresh air, and remembering how much I'm just addicted to this sport and how much I love it. And in the moment of playing, I put my body on the line and my athleticism, my brain shifts to I'm playing volleyball. And then I actually told my teammates after the game that I'm going to have a hard time sleeping tonight because I just can't stop thinking about volleyball. Like, that is all. I'm wired. That was so much fun. If I had a partner, I could play till like 3 a.m. It was so exciting. And I thought about that, and I thought, well, is that me? Is that the alter ego of me? What is that of me? And I thought to myself, this is me in that moment. This is me in that state. And could I channel the same energy? For example, when I go to work today, am I going to have the same exact amount of energy that I did at volleyball? Volleyball is definitely more exciting than sometimes the paperwork or the things I got to do that's on my desk, or the calls I have to make, or the sales that I have to get into, right? But at the same time, if I just change my perspective, and many of you have heard my speeches, and when I get on stage, I have a, a methodology we teach called state changers. And state changers are adrenaline boosted, forced state changers that cause your brain and your biological compounding to focus on something different. You have to interrupt, and that's something in the psychology world, they call it a pattern interrupt, but you've got to interrupt what you're currently doing and change the course. And when I go from volleyball to the house, and my brain is like wired, because I just was like, it's like a golden retriever who just got a ball thrown for him, and now all I can think about is being, throwing more balls and chasing more balls, and that's how I felt. But as soon as I did my breathing exercises, I calmed down and I came down to my present level, and I realized, okay, I can safely and comfortably sleep tonight, and it's going to be amazing. So for me, the big takeaway was applying this in my life and experiencing the fact that I do have the ability to control every part of my life. And the moments I feel out of control is when I need to interrupt, I need to change my state, and I can use the exact same energy of who I am and that source of energy to be the superhero in every aspect of my life, not just sports, not just business, not just speaking on stage, but I can also do it as I breathe and change my state and my attitude for my sales calls, for my paperwork, for my taxes, for all of the above. And yes, it is effective. And yes, it works for me.
What a wonderful thought to end on. That finalizes our topic of the wonderful book, The Alter Ego Effect by, as I get above my name, Todd Herman. If you guys have not read this book, go ahead, get your copy, whether Audible or paperback. I got myself the hardcover. So, because, it's one of my favorite books. So thank you so much, champions, for listening to the wonderful thoughts that we have as we wrap up the book, The Alter Ego Effect. If you found inspiration in this episode, go ahead and subscribe to Champion Reads. Our podcast can be found on most all podcast platforms. And we'd love to hear from you out of those 6 mindsets, which one stood out for you. So you can go ahead and go to our website, mychampionscircle.com, and there you'll find our social links as well as our email that you can send us which one stood out to you. And until next time, be the best version you can be, the champion in your life, and always turn on that switch, because you are the best version of who you are right now. And as you take little steps, you can finally get towards that legend that you are meant to be. We'll see you on the next episode of Champion Reads.